Hey there, Dirt Road believers. It is Thursday, April the 22nd. It is Earth Day, and I'm so glad to get to be outside today. I have a wonderful guest coming up that I know you are going to learn so much from. I have been so excited to have her come and join me today and talk about her journey through weight loss and how the Lord helped her through all of that. She has a wonderful testimony, so stick around. So coming up, I want to let you know, those of you who are local to the Summerville Trine area, my church coming up soon is having a conference for girls 3rd through 12th grade, and it's called Beautiful You. Beautiful You is a wonderful conference. It was inspired by a young woman who, as a child, did not meet all of the standards of beauty that the world dictates to us, and she had a true revelation in her life of what God thinks is beautiful and how God looks at us. And so this conference is a yearly reminder to our young ladies that the Lord loves you and the Lord sees you as completely beautiful. It's at my church, Harvest Worship Center. And to register, you go to Trion, TRIONHWC.com. Hey Dirt Road believers, I'm here with GLORI. She's our special guest today, and she is going to share her testimony with us. I first got to know GLORI because I taught her kids. She's got a 7th grader named Jaron, who I first taught. And I still have her little ones in 2nd grade, Samuel and Grace. So I'm so happy that you're here with us today. And she has had a major body, mind, soul transformation over the past, how many, 2 years?
About a year and a half.
So share with us the journey that you have been on.
Okay. This journey started in September of 2019, and it was right after my husband and I got back from Kenya, Africa. Well, I guess you could say the journey started while we were in Kenya, Africa. The day we left for Kenya, I weighed 294 pounds. I had to get on an airplane, and we sat just regular class, nothing special. And I sat there in my small little seat, cramped up between a stranger and my husband, and sat for 9 hours from Atlanta, Georgia to Paris, just like this.
Wow.
Then we had an 8-hour layover in Paris, and we walked all over Paris. Then we had another 9-hour flight from Paris to Nairobi, Kenya, and then we had a 1-hour flight from Nairobi to Kisumu, Kenya. And all of those flights, I sat like this right here. I didn't want to spill over onto the person beside me. I didn't want to be all over my husband, because I know he's a large man himself and he needed his own space. And the Lord spoke to me whenever I came home. My ankles, my knees to my ankles, swollen, 3 days after we had gotten home. And the Lord spoke to me. He said, I've got a call for you, but you need to be able to do this call instead of just willing. We can always be willing, but we've also got to be able. And so I was like, Lord, what do you mean? I have tried my whole life. I've struggled my whole life from the time I was about 2 years old until at the point in 2019 I was 37 or 36, somewhere in there. And that's been a struggle my whole entire life. And I'm like, Lord, I can't do this. I have tried and tried. I'd lost weight. In 2016, I had lost about 60 pounds and then gained every bit of it back and then some. And the Lord He just kept talking to me. He said, I need you healthy. I need you to do the work that I have for you. This mission that I've called you to in Kenya, this is not going to be the only place that you go in my name. And so from that point, I had already lost there in Kenya. I had lost about 11 pounds because of the food and the different cultures, and it was just a culture shock, I guess you could say.
Probably walking a lot more
Yes,
than usual,
and walking a whole lot. Speaking of walking, couldn't even walk around Paris because I was just so red-faced and out of breath, and the shoes that I had purchased just for that trip, because I knew I was going to be doing a lot of walking, I bought at Walmart because I didn't buy expensive shoes because I knew that I would end up tearing them up. But just trying to walk from one place to another to get to the Eiffel Tower in Paris, I couldn't even enjoy it. You know, the city of love, you know, I could not even enjoy those things. And, you know, I've looked at it like I may never get another chance to get to see this Eiffel Tower. I'm going to see the Eiffel Tower. And it was just excruciating. Just the plane rides, all of those plane rides, and then coming home and 3 days later still suffering the effects of being so overweight. And God gave me a scripture, and it's 1 Corinthians 10:31. He said, "Whether therefore ye eat or drink, or whatsoever ye do, do all to the glory of God." And so that scripture just ministered to me over and over. At first, it wasn't one of those things that I thought, okay, just in the things I do, I need to glorify God. I didn't really think about the health aspect. I didn't really think about what I put in my body. And, you know, what we put in our body is going to tell on us. It's going to show, am I glorifying God with the things that I put in my body or not? And you could tell at 294 pounds that I was not glorifying God with my body. I was glorifying glory. I was glorifying flesh, and I was consuming the things that I wanted and not what God would have me to consume. And, you know, it wasn't the thought of, well, I want to look like a supermodel, or I want to look like the cover of a magazine or something like that. That wasn't it at all. God had a call for me. God had a plan for me. And it's not about what people think that I should look like or what people think is beautiful, but it's about being healthy, and it's about just
being able.
Yes,
you know, I
being
never thought of
able.
it that way.
Yes.
I can be willing all day long, but if I'm not able,
That's right.
And it sounds like the trip to Kenya was definitely your mindset completely changed. But as we look through Scripture, we see Paul writes to the church a lot about self-discipline and what you're taking in, and it goes way beyond food.
Yes,
you know?
Most definitely.
But so walk us through, because at some point the rubber has to meet the road, and you have got to have self-discipline.
Yes.
And so how did that factor in with food, and how did it factor in spiritually with some of your spiritual disciplines?
Okay. You know, the Word tells us that God will give us self-control. And when you're on a health journey, a weight loss journey, you've got to practice self-control. And, you know, the Lord opened up my eyes to several avenues that could help me have that self-control. I use the free app. Everything I use is free. I don't want to spend any money that I don't have to. I got 3 kids at home I got to raise.
You don't want to pay to lose something.
Right. So I use the free app, MyFitnessPal, and I can log all of my food on there every day. Anything that I put in my mouth goes into that app. And I put in there how my activity level, and I have a sit-down job, so my activity level is sedentary. You know, I'm sitting all day long. And I put in there my weight, my height, and my age. And it calculates for you how many calories you should consume in a day. And so I would consume about 1,500 calories a day, and I've done that for the past year and a half, and just in calories alone, was a huge difference. Because when I first started using MyFitnessPal, the first day, I just wanted to see, you know, what do I eat in a day? And it was mind-boggling. It was just one standard day, I probably ate close to 3,000 calories a day.
So you just ate like you normally would?
Yes, and just calculated it just to see what it would look like. And 3,000 calories is a pound.
Wow. And
if I was eating 3,000 calories a day, I was gaining a pound a day. My highest weight and the lowest I had ever been in my life was when I was 24 years old, somewhere around there. I weighed 324 pounds. So to date, from 324 pounds, I have lost 106 pounds to date. And then from starting my journey in September, it's been a total of about 76 pounds, somewhere in there. And you know, and I always kind of, yes, that is, it is. It's one of my twins at home. And, you know, I have always kind of fluctuated, so I'll go up a little bit and I go down a little bit, and I don't stress about it.
Yeah.
You know, because I've got these tools set in place. The Lord has just opened up so many just different, He's put people in my life that can help me. When I was pregnant with the twins, I had gestational diabetes, and I had to see a dietitian, and she taught me how to eat so that I wouldn't have to have insulin. And I didn't have to just suffer a lot of the struggles that a lot of people go through in their pregnancies when they have gestational diabetes, because I knew how to eat. And so here we are now, 8 years later, and I'm using the tools that I learned from my pregnancy to help me in this journey.
I know for women who struggle with weight loss like you have for a lifetime practically, it can feel kind of like the thorn in the flesh that Paul talks about. You know, Paul goes back to the Lord 3 different times and asks for that thorn to be removed. And when it's not removed, ultimately he says, you know what, I'll keep it because it's driving me to you every single time. And so, you know, this weight loss, it's not a fad. It's not something you're doing for a limited amount of time.
Right.
This is something that, you know, you will always come back to the Lord over and over about. And, you know, when you trace back your struggle with weight, where do you kind of see it all beginning?
Oh, it's definitely been a thorn in my flesh since I was just a child. My mom, whenever she would fix my plate as a child, she would fix it the same as hers as an adult, and I would eat it. It was like I had no stopping point. I would just eat what was there in front of me. And growing up, my dad was not in the picture a lot. I was raised by my mom. She worked all day, every day, just to make ends meet, to keep the lights on. And she was married to someone that was not the greatest of persons to me. You know, I struggled a lot all throughout my life with self-worth issues, never feeling good enough, being told I was not going to be good enough, being told I would never be anything. And so I found comfort in food. And so when everything was saying eating junk food is bad, to me, that was the only source of comfort and love that I felt like I was getting. Instead of, you know, I wasn't raised in church. We lived in a little house in Trine, and on every corner was a church, but we lived as far away from God as you could possibly live. We were just in a very dark place, and the only comfort I got was food. And so my whole life, it has been a thorn in my flesh, and it has been a constant reminder of the no good person that I was supposed to turn out to be, and the nothing that I was supposed to be. But, you know, I give God honor and glory that He turned all of those situations around in my life, and that I can look back now and I can see, you know, when I felt so alone, when I felt like food was the only thing that was there for me, God was there all the time. He was there every step of the way, just giving me that little nudge that I needed. Just make it one more day. Make it one more day. And there was times that I battled with depression, I mean, to the point of suicide. And, you know, and it all just resulted in that self-worth, never feeling like I was fully worthy of anything. I wasn't worthy of life is what I felt like. And, you know, but God had a plan, but God. And, you know, there was a time that my mom walked in just in the nick of time. And had she not, I firmly believe it was a divine intervention. And God put her there at that very exact moment. And from that point forward, my life has just been completely different. Completely different.
When you were talking about comfort food, I had looked up this scripture. It's Hebrews 2:18, and it says, "For since He Himself," talking about Jesus, "has suffered when He was tempted, He is able to help those who are tempted." And I read that and I think about food. And some people may think, well, that's, you know, He's talking about other things. No, I don't think He is. If your temptation and your struggle is food, then absolutely the Lord can help you with those temptations, because He too suffered temptation as well. And just kind of go into, because I think as Christians we point people to the Lord, and we say He can help you, He can fix it, which He absolutely can, and we know that. But then when you get a little further into discipling someone, as to, what exactly does that look like? Right. Can you kind of show us in your own spiritual life?
Yes.
What does that look like when there's a, homemade ice cream churn sitting in front of you, and you've had most of your calories for the day? So what do you do?
Well, like I mentioned before, God gives us that self-control. And sometimes that self-control is just thrown by the wayside. And sometimes I have self-control like no other. 9 times out of 10, I'm going to eat the ice cream. And, I want something that's going to carry me through my lifetime. I don't want to have to go through life and never eat ice cream, never eat brownies, never eat pizza, never eat chips. And so, I want to do something that is just freeing and liberating. And that is what I have found. I have found that, as long as I can watch my calories and I can watch my carbs, I try to eat between 75 to 100 net carbs per day if I'm just doing low carb. I've tried intermittent fasting. I've tried keto. I don't just stick to one particular thing. And, whenever somebody comes to me and they're like, well, I have 50 pounds to lose, but I just can't do it. And, of course I tell them, well, pray about it. The Lord will help you, but there's also some work that we've got to put in there also. We can't just let that blessing fall in our lap, because 9 times out of 10 it's not going to happen that way. And, this one particular woman, she told me, she said, I've got 50 pounds to lose, and she said, but I can't stop eating this, or I can't stop eating that. And so I told her, I said, there comes a point in time where you have to exercise that self-control that God gave you. And I said, I want the brownies all day long every day, but I've got to know I can have it in moderation. That's the key. Moderation is key. If you can have anything as long as you have it moderately. And I don't think that having ice cream should be that big of a, oh, it's going to ruin my day if I have ice cream. And so many people get that mindset.
Well, because you have the ice cream, and then you have the cookies. And well, I've already had that, so I might as well have, it's a cycle that never ends.
And it is in the mind. It is such a mind thing.
Isn't that true?
Yes.
My mother has said that over and over.
Yes.
It's really not here. That's the problem. It's here.
Yes, it's that. And if you can get your mind under that submission to that self-control, then you've got it whipped. But that mind, it just goes and goes and goes, and it's your own worst enemy. It really is at times.
We touched on earlier while we were talking was GLORI. Every chance she gets, she gives her testimony about weight loss. And, and how did you word that? You said, every time I give my testimony.
Yes. The Word tells us that we're made overcomers by the words of our testimony and the blood of the Lamb. So every opportunity that I get, when people ask me, how did you lose the weight? How did you this? How did you that? I give God glory and honor first and foremost. Yes, I had to put some work to it, but God did the ultimate work. He's the one that revealed to me that I was in an unhealthy state, and that He had a work for me to do, and I needed to be able to do it. And, I know that every single time that I give my testimony, I'm going to overcome even more. Regardless of what my testimony is, if it was from my childhood, if it was from suicide, if it was from weight loss, every time I give that testimony, I'm going to overcome that obstacle even more. So now that I'm sharing this testimony with you all, I'm going to overcome even more. I still have about 40 pounds that I want to get off, and so I know by me sharing this testimony, I'm going to overcome that 40 pounds that I need to get off.
I have enjoyed talking to you so much today. Thank you so much for coming.
Happy Earth Day!
And until next time,
slow down and take the dirt road, believer.